By the start of 2026, the man at the helm, Larry Fink, sat at the top of a firm that controlled $13.89 trillion in assets, a number so large it equivalent to nearly half of everything the entire United States economy produces in a year. You don't vote for him. You didn't hire him. But the pension fund that will determine whether you retire with dignity, the mortgage-backed security sitting beneath your home loan, the index fund inside your retirement account, they all answer to the same address. One firm, one address. That address runs on a machine called Aladdin. As of 2025, Aladdin monitors over $25 trillion in assets, roughly 10% of all the wealth that exists on this planet. And it does so with zero public oversight. No elected committee reviews its decisions. No regulator holds its source code. Aladdin calculates risk across millions of different investments simultaneously, and the institutions that manage your savings, your insurance premiums, your government bonds, they feed their portfolios into it every single day. The machine never sleeps. No one audits it. BlackRock does not act alone. According to Harvard Law Research, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street together own 25% of voting shares in 88% of all S&P 500 companies. Think about what that means in the physical world. The airline and the airport, the drug company and the hospital chain, the oil producer and the renewable energy firm. In each of those pairs, the same three institutions sit at the shareholder table of both. Competition, as a legal and economic concept, requires that the owners of competing firms have different interests. They don't. Then the architecture folds back on itself. BlackRock is a top shareholder in JP Morgan and Bank of America, the very institutions that are, in turn, top shareholders in BlackRock. The firm that owns the bank is owned by the bank. The regulator's largest client is the regulator's largest investor. This is not a conspiracy. This is a matter of public SEC filings, the official records of the US government. The loop is documented. The loop is legal. And the loop has no exit. This is the structure that exists as of early 2026. Not a projection, not a warning, but a verified architecture of ownership. A single private firm now holds capital equivalent to over half of US GDP, runs the risk engine that the world's largest institutions depend on, and sits inside a circular ownership structure against the banks it officially competes against. The market did not build a monopoly. It built something with no name yet. There is a unit inside BlackRock that most people who work at the Federal Reserve have met in person. It is called the Financial Markets Advisory Division, and since the 2008 financial crisis, it has been hired, repeatedly, by both the US Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank to help manage the assets those institutions could not handle alone. The same firm that owns the largest share positions in the banks those central banks regulate is also the firm those central banks call when the system starts to crack. This is not lobbying. This is architecture. Alexandra de Rothschild, executive chairman of Rothschild & Co., operates in the same government advisory layer, the layer of wealthy private firms that governments consult before they consult their own economists. In 2023, Rothschild & Co. completed a full privatization through a holding structure called Concordia, removing itself from public markets entirely. Gone from the exchange. No quarterly filings. No public shareholder votes. What remained was a private institution with no obligation to disclose its positions, its clients, or its role in the transactions it structures. According to reporting from the AMF, France's financial watchdog, in 2025, Rothschild & Co. now functions as the primary merger architect for global energy infrastructure. The firm that draws the lines between who owns the pipeline, who finances the grid, and who advises the government that regulates both. The privatization was not a retreat. It was a door closing. While Rothschild withdrew from public view, BlackRock moved in the opposite direction, deeper into the financial system's plumbing. Through its BIDL fund, BlackRock's blockchain investment fund, BlackRock successfully tokenized over $1 billion in U.S. Treasury securities on the Ethereum blockchain. A Treasury bond, the instrument that governments issue to fund their operations, the bedrock of government debt, converted into a digital token, tradable on a shared digital record, managed within the Aladdin ecosystem. The bond did not change. The ownership structure around it did. The government's power became a token. Now the same logic is being applied to the physical world. The 2026 Global Asset Bridge Project, a joint initiative documented by the World Economic Forum and BlackRock, aims to convert physical real estate deeds into digital tokens managed by Aladdin. Your home's title, the deed that establishes your legal claim to the property you own or are paying to own. The plan is to move that document onto a blockchain record managed by the same algorithm that already manages the national debt, the pension funds, and the tokenized treasury bonds. The deed becomes data. Aladdin holds the key. This is not a series of accidents. It is a blueprint. Each step is legal. Each step is documented, and the architecture is assembling itself, one filing at a time. When a country is destroyed, its bridges down, its power grid gone, its hospitals reduced to rubble, the question of who rebuilds it is not a humanitarian question. It is a financial one. Under the Ukraine Reconstruction Agreement, BlackRock and JP Morgan now provide financial advisory services to the Ukraine Development Fund, the body that will decide which contracts get written, which infrastructure gets financed, and which firms get access to a reconstruction economy worth hundreds of billions of dollars. The organization advising the fund also owns significant positions in the construction, energy, and logistics companies that will bid for those contracts. The rubble is an asset class. In 2025, BlackRock's voting power influenced major climate-related corporate resolutions put to shareholder votes. Not lobbying, not campaigning, voting. The decisions about whether an airline retires its fleet early, whether an oil company writes down its reserves, whether a utility accelerates its grid transition, those decisions now pass through the same ownership layer that manages your pension. The planet's energy future is being decided not in parliaments or at climate summits, but in the shareholder voting systems of a single asset management firm. No ballot was cast. No election was held. Now, the architecture is coming for your individual account. As of 2026, a capability called direct indexing, powered by Aladdin, allows BlackRock to manage individual retail investment accounts directly, bypassing the mutual fund structure entirely. There is no longer a fund between you and the algorithm. Aladdin does not manage a pool that you share with other investors. It manages you, your specific holdings, your specific tax position, your specific risk profile, as an individual data set inside a system that simultaneously manages the national debt, the reconstruction of a war-torn country, and the climate votes of the world's largest corporations. The algorithm now manages both, and while the algorithm manages your portfolio, a parallel process has been reshaping the physical ground beneath your feet. According to the Federal Reserve's 2026 Z.1 report, institutional buyers backed by BlackRock Capital drove a double-digit drop in the percentage of homes owned by individual families across 2025 and into 2026. The home, the single largest asset most families will ever hold. The physical object that separates having somewhere to live from paying someone else for the right to exist in a space, is being systematically transferred from individual ownership into institutional portfolios. The landlord and the mortgage lender and the asset manager are increasingly the same entity. The market did not do this. A machine did. This is what the invisible sovereign looks like from the ground. Not a flag, not a ballot, not a tank. A $13.89 trillion algorithm that advises central banks, structures national reconstruction, votes on the planet's climate policy, manages your personal investment account, and is buying the house on your street. The free market required competing owners with competing interests. When one entity holds the position of owner, lender, advisor, and voter simultaneously, competition is not suppressed. It is simply no longer the correct word for what is happening. Subscribe to Leviathan Files, because the algorithm already knows what you'll do next. We're just making sure you do too.